Today on KUJH News.
But we are the only campaign that has beaten Donald Trump once, twice, 3 times.
Republican candidate Ted Cruz hosts a rally in Overland Park before the Kansas caucus. We'll be live with the details. Rock Chalk Review helps raise money for charity, what you can do to be a part of the event. And the Supreme Court hears its first bill since the death of Justice Scalia. KUJH starts now.
From the University of Kansas, you're watching KUJH News.
I congratulate Donald Trump on his victories tonight. But we are the only campaign that has beaten Donald Trump once, twice, 3 times.
Thank you for joining us. Republican candidate Ted Cruz is in Kansas City today for a rally before Kansas's caucus on Saturday. KUJH reporter Emma Hogue is live in Overland Park. Emma?
Brianna, right now I'm here at Johnson County Community College waiting for Ted Cruz to come out and speak to hundreds of potential voters. Now, yesterday's Super Tuesday, Cruz won Oklahoma, Alaska, and his home state of Texas. Right now, just looking at the crowds, I'd estimate about 50 people out here right now, and I only expect that crowd to grow as doors open at 5:30. Cruz is expected to take the stage around 6:30. Reporting live from Overland Park, Emma Hogue, KUJH News.
Thanks, Emma. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders will hold his rally tomorrow in Lawrence. The rally will begin around 7 p.m. at the Douglas County Fairgrounds. Doors will open at 4 p.m. and admission is first come, first serve. Chairs, signs, and banners with sticks will not be allowed. The rally will take place at the Fairgrounds Indoor Arena. Sanders currently trails Hillary Clinton in the Democratic race. This Saturday, Kansas will have the opportunity to cast their vote in the Kansas caucus. Caucus goers must be registered as a member of the party they intend to caucus for in order to vote. In Lawrence, Democrats can caucus at Central Middle School off of 15th and Mass or at Warrens Middle School off of New Lawrence Road and Gatewood Street. Members of the Democratic Party can register to vote at the door from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. The caucus begins at 3. Republicans can vote at Southwest Middle School off of 27th and Iverness Drive. GOP members must be registered to participate in the caucus. Voting is open from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. For the full list of Kansas caucus locations, visit kansasdems.org and kansasgop.org. Student Body Vice President Zach George announced today that he will be resigning from his Student Senate post. In an email, George announced his resignation to Student Senate Body. George stated his resignation will take effect after next week's full Student Senate meeting. And we have Vice President Zach George here in the studio with us. Zach, thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course. It's been, I'm sure, kind of a crazy day, a crazy year for you in Student Senate. What kind of just brought this all about? What caused you to decide to resign from your position?
Yeah, you know, the first thing I want to make sure is that the information is out there for all the students. And so it was a difficult decision to announce my resignation, but it was for good reasons. I was fortunate to be offered a position at the National Association of Counties in Washington, D.C. For those who know me, that's kind of been where I've been focusing my my future career efforts with my academic background in political science and public administration. So it kind of just came to me in the last couple of days, and so it was an offer I couldn't refuse, but it was a difficult decision to resign, but it's the right thing to do to make sure that Student Senate is fully functioning and operating efficiently.
Absolutely, and you know, you only have a few weeks left in your position anyways. Are you moving soon? Is that what caused you to make the decision now?
Yes, I'm going to be moving to Washington D.C. in 2 weeks, and you know, our next full Senate meeting is next Wednesday, and the Student Senate is going to choose the next vice president to replace me. And with spring break, there's still there's still over a month left in the term of office, and so we want to make sure that we get someone picking up the work that I was finishing. But still, even though I only have a couple of days left, it hasn't stopped from what I'm hoping to accomplish for the next couple of days. Tonight, our committee system is reviewing a resolution in support of making KU tobacco free. We're also debating the Student Senate fee package, which I've been a vocal opponent of increasing fees. So, you know, the job's not done. I'm not going away anytime soon, but I'm making sure I make these last several days count.
Right, of course. And speaking of someone taking your position, what maybe advice do you have for them? What's some things you've learned while being in office that you would pass along to them for the future?
Yeah, you know, I think making yourself available is important. You know, what I've learned is that people want to be heard, people want to be listened to, and it's important that in these positions that everybody gets an opportunity to voice their opinions and do what you can to best move forward to position the University of Kansas in a good spot. So that's what I've learned, and you know, the last thing I want to finish on is that it has been an outstanding honor to be able to hold this position. Waking up every day knowing that my job is to represent and serve the Jayhawk community, it's one of the greatest pleasures I've ever had, and it's going to be something I will remember for the rest of my life. So it's with a heavy heart to announce this, but you know, my future is, I've always been devoted to public service, and I have an opportunity to enhance that in Washington, D.C. So I'm excited to go, but I'll always be a Jayhawk, and I'll be visiting the nest frequently.
Good, good. One last thing that we wanted to ask you before we sign off. You know, this year, like you mentioned in your email, has been kind of a difficult one. A lot was going on with the Senate, especially with the impeachment situation that happened. The things that went on with that, how do you think that might prepare you for your future career? What things did you take away from that and learn?
Well, you know, when I was asked what was the biggest struggle you've experienced in a job interview, I definitely had a lot of material to discuss. But you know, that was a very important event that occurred in KU, and especially in Student Senate, because it really pushed the conversation on what we need to do as a university to promote and enhance inclusivity and diversity. And I'm proud of what our administration did to respond to a lot of the demands. We were able to listen, evaluate, and we were able to put together an action plan, which I excited that we have been able to achieve the majority of what we've set out, and we're still working on it. And even with me going, I know Jessie Pringle is still making her priority to make sure that we fulfill our promises. So that's one of the biggest, even though it was a difficult situation, but it's what I'm proud about, because Student Senate was able to step up to the plate and do what we can to really make a difference at KU.
Right, absolutely. And speaking of Jessie Pringle, what is the replacement process going to be like? Is she going to be kind of working on her own, or is someone going to come in and take over?
Well, I've had limited contact with her. She's in Washington, D.C. right now, advocating for students in higher education with our members of Congress. So I'm definitely going to be meeting with her tomorrow and discuss our steps moving forward. But it is a lot more clearer process. The Student Senate is going to have nominations on who they want to replace, and there'll be speeches, and there'll be an overall vote. And so in a week from today, there will be a new student body vice president, and we have an amazing group of senators, and I am confident that we're going to find someone great to replace, to hold this position and serve the KU community well.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much again, Zach, for coming and
much.
talking with us. Best of luck in your new job, and safe travels to D.C.
Thank you very much.
And a Kansas bill could let you go a little faster on your morning commute. KUJH reporter Kirsten Peterson tells us how the new bill could bump up the speed limit.
Kansas drivers could potentially be driving 80 miles per hour on state highways if House Bill 2450 gets approved.
If Kansas were to increase the speed, it would change the safetiness of the highways as they were designed for lower speeds. For the future, since higher speeds are a factor now, they will be kept in mind while planning the designs.
We would be designing our highways for a higher speed, and that's not necessarily bad, it's just more expensive.
The speed limit change would also affect the slower traffic on highways.
If everybody in the traffic stream is going the same speed, that's the ideal speed. And so we raised the speed limit to 75-80, so now we have people going 85-90, while we have trucks out there going 65.
The reason that Kansas hasn't increased K-10 speed is because of the younger traffic commuting from Overland Park to Lawrence and further west. For some KU students, this would make the commute a more enjoyable experience at a higher speed.
I think it would help me a lot because I'm an out-of-state student. I live in St. Louis, and it's pretty much just a straight drive home, but like, the speed limit's around 70, I think, and being able to go that much faster will just make the trip home go by a lot quicker.
The legislature is still looking at the bill as no further action has been discussed. Reporting for KUJH, I'm Kirsten Peterson.
If the bill is passed, the Kansas Department of Transportation reported in a fiscal note that making the new 249 speed limit signs could cost up to $20,000. The new speed limit would also require new construction to take place due to the higher speed design criteria. And it looks like Kansas drivers could also expect a change in how they get around KU's campus. The city of Lawrence is hosting a meeting tonight to get citizens' opinions on its plan to rebuild the intersection of 19th Street and Austdale Road. The intersection will be the entrance to KU's new Central District. City engineer David Cronin said the preliminary construction plans include a traffic signal, an additional 2 lanes, and a raised island to keep drivers from cutting through neighborhoods south of 19th Street. The meeting is open to the public and will be held from 7 to 8 p.m. in the Jayhawk room of Fire Station number 5. And yesterday, Governor Sam Brownback announced a 3% cut to Kansas Board of Regents. The budget cuts total over $7 million to KU's campuses. Almost $4 million was cut from KU's Lawrence campus, and over $3 million was cut from KU's Medical Center. These cuts affect all higher education in Kansas, totaling $17 million for the fiscal year. Chancellor Bernadette Gray Little issued a statement today saying that KU will continue to work closely with the governor's office to find a solution. KU's Greek Life-sponsored variety show Rock Chalk Review opens its curtains tomorrow night at the Lead Center. There will be 3 performances over the weekend, beginning with the opener tomorrow at 7. The second show will be Friday night at 7, and the finale will be Saturday night at the same time. The show is projecting a profit of over $70,000, most of which will be donated to Habitat for Humanity. Rock Chalk Review directors say that this year could have another successful turnout as the show has become a Lawrence tradition.
It's a tradition. Yeah, I never knew really how traditional Rock Chalk is, and after being in the other side and being a director and knowing how many people actually come that aren't even involved with the show or like that don't even know people here, it's like a Lawrence thing almost. Like everyone loves it, and I had no idea, and it's really, really cool to be a part of it.
Tickets for all 3 shows are still available at rockchalkreview.com. Coming up on KUJH, a KU professor talks about President Obama's plan to close Guantanamo Bay, what effects it could have on the country, and
now repeat after me. We are all worthy. We are all worthy. We are not alone. We are not alone. And we should not be ashamed.
the Supreme Court hears its first bill since the death of Justice Scalia. The bill that's causing controversy and could affect women all over the country when we come back. Stay with us.
When my youngest, Addie, was 2.5, she was diagnosed with leukemia. The doctor stopped by and said, well, it is leukemia. And then the next thing she said, without even missing a beat, was, and here's what we're going to do. We are so blessed and lucky to say that she is extremely healthy. I could not be more grateful for groups like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. It was that research that let that doctor say, it's leukemia, and here's what we're going to do.
President Obama continues to urge lawmakers to help him close the detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. KUJH reporter Heather Dace spoke with Department of Political Science professor Don Heider-Markel on the political issues surrounding Obama's plan.
For many years, it's been clear that the detention facility at Guantanamo Bay does not advance our national security. It undermines it.
With less than a year left of presidency, Obama hopes to finalize his longstanding promise to close Guantanamo Bay.
So the goal is basically, in shutting down Guantanamo, is to find a long-term solution for the detainees that we don't believe we can release to third countries safely.
Since 2009, Obama has transferred 147 prisoners from Guantanamo Bay to countries overseas, though many of the detainees remaining are expected to be brought to U.S. facilities. However, many Republicans, Democrats, and the Senate oppose this plan in fear of the potential danger.
They argue that this will increase the threat of attack from groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda within the United States, not only at that facility, but generally against the United States.
Presidential candidates such as Ted Cruz and Donald Trump have vocally opposed this plan as well, saying, "I would leave it just the way it is, and I would probably fill it with more people that are looking to kill us. And all further transfers and releases from Guantanamo Bay should be off the table."
It's very unlikely anything will happen before the end of Obama's term, and I would expect, no matter who's elected next president, that you're not going to see much movement on closing Guantanamo in the next couple of years.
Obama is scheduled to visit Cuba next month as he continues his fight. Reporting from Lawrence, Heather Dace, KUJH News.
It is still undetermined whether Obama will close the prison using his own executive powers if Congress rejects his plan. The Supreme Court will hear its first big abortion case in nearly 2 decades. The 8 justices will consider a Texas law that has caused over a dozen abortion clinics to close. The new law requires doctors performing abortions to have admitting privileges at local hospitals and that abortion clinics upgrade their facilities to hospital-like standards. Opponents of the bill say the law lacks medical justification and is a hidden attempt to end abortion.
Abortion is not shameful. It is not something that needs to be hidden. It is part of our culture and the full range of our reproductive lives. We will continue to fight until everyone has the care they need, when they need it, and without barriers in their way.
This will be the first case heard since Justice Scalia's death. And winter storms are taking over the northern part of the country as ice and snow covered roads in Wisconsin, Illinois, and stretching into New York. Ice and snow fell and closed down roads and airport runways yesterday. 2 planes at Chicago O'Hare Airport reported sliding on the runway. These incidents led to hundreds of flight cancellations. Ice also plagued New York roads as cars slipped and slid during their commute, causing several accidents. And it's been a chilly day here in Lawrence as well, but will it continue? Shane Martin is here with the weather. Shane?
Well, thank you, Brianna. As you can see today, we just have some nice high clouds here and no threat of winter weather anytime in the future. We may have some rain coming up at the beginning of next week, but that would be about it. For now, we just have these nice, warm, dry conditions coming up from the desert southwest into the region, creating a high fire danger for today. But that cold air that's up to our north, creating that winter storm that we were just talking about, we'll have a cold front that'll come through on tomorrow overnight, or overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning while we're asleep. And as we look at our Tuesday outlook, you can see that the winds will switch from the south like they are today out of the northwest. We'll start at about 41, climb to about 52 with decreasing clouds throughout the day, and we'll end at about 46 for at 6 o'clock. And as we look at our Friday, you can see the return of the moisture is going to be more warm and more humid as it comes out of the Gulf of Mexico this time, so it won't be quite as much fire danger and more or less static electricity. And on Saturday, we continue the warm weather. It just keeps getting better. And as we look at our 3-day outlook, you can see that we end at 54, 62, and 64 with a chance of rain Sunday and into Monday. Back to you.
Thank you, Shane. And Katie, things seem to be heating up weather-wise here in Lawrence. And it seems like KU basketball was on fire as well. Are you going to tell us more about that?
I know, yes. We will have more on basketball and find out which athletes qualified for the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships. And again, we will have more on the Big 12 Championships and how they were undisputed champions now. Stay with us.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. Even though we are one of the most food-rich countries in the world, 15 million children don't know where their next meal is coming from. This is unacceptable, and something the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is working to solve. Instead of accepting that our country lets billions of pounds of surplus food go to waste every year, Feeding America has made it their mission to help families in need by rescuing this food. Through food pantries and meal programs, the nationwide network of food banks provides more than 3 billion meals, serving virtually every community in the United States, including yours. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank by visiting feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. together, we're feeding America.
3 Jayhawks qualified for the NCAA Indoor Track and Field Championships. All-American pole vaulter Casey Bowen is making his second debut at the indoor meet, and shot putter Nikolai Saban will be joining Bowen in his first appearance at the Indoor Championships. And for the women, Deanna Levy is the lone qualifier. She earned her way in weight throwing. The Indoor Championships will be held in Birmingham, Alabama on March 11th and 12th. And for the 12th consecutive time, Kansas has claimed the Big 12 title. Their win against Texas sealed the deal to make their title undisputed. Kansas dominated Texas and showed them how the #1 ranked team in the nation really plays. The game started off pretty slow, making it 15-0 after Frank Mason hits his three from downtown. It's crazy how they started off the game. And now we have Perry Ellis coming in and making a basket right there, and Perry was a big contributor as well. And now we have Brandon Green with an open shot, and he hits the three right before the halftime. Take him into second half. Jamari Traylor up and hits the basket. The bench is going crazy. And this was just one of the plays that sealed the deal, and Kansas ran away with the undisputed title. Final score of the game was 86-56. The Jayhawks host Iowa State on Saturday for senior night. Perry Ellis, Jamari Traylor, Hunter Mickelson, and Evan Manning will be honored for their time at KU. Tip-off is at 3 on ESPN. The losing streak for women's basketball is now at 20 after their loss to TCU on Monday. The Jayhawks have one last chance to get a conference win in the Big 12 championship. The tournament starts on the 4th of March, and they will be playing against their last loss, TCU. The season will be over if they lose, and the game, along with the rest of the tournament, can be seen on College Fox Sports and heard on Jayhawk Radio Network. And now the baseball team comes back from their Big 12 Pac-12 challenge with a 1-3 record, and their overall record now stands at 3-4. The Jayhawks now host a 3-game series at home against BYU. The series starts tomorrow afternoon at 3. Games can be watched on ESPN3 and heard on Jayhawk Radio Network. And now we have a lot of fun things going on this weekend.
Yes, and something else that's fun, or funny, I should say, a dog with braces. I'm not sure if you can imagine that. I know I couldn't until I saw it. But a dog with braces. Wesley, a 6-month-old golden retriever, was having trouble eating because his teeth were coming in crooked. A Michigan hospital for animals hooked him up with some orthodontia. The furry little brace face will reportedly wear the gear for about 6 weeks, and then he'll be ready to share his $1 million smile with the world. Did either of you two have braces?
I did.
I did too, and I'm pretty sure I had them on for about a year and a half, not 6 weeks. It's crazy. I'm kind of jealous about that one.
I know, yes.
Yes. It could be 6 weeks.
Yes, quick and easy and done. But that does it for here at KUJH. Have a good evening.